Welcome, everyone. Good morning. My name is Mary, and this is Mindful Movement with Mary. Today, I have a 45 to 50-minute class, slow flow yoga class, focusing on full body stretching. So from head to toe, I hope you'll feel loose and relaxed at the end of today's class. We're going to focus especially on the major joints of the body, so the shoulders, the spine, and the hips. And for props today, I did leave a comment in the chat, and you're welcome to talk to me that way as well. But for props, you're going to need 2 blocks, 1 strap, and 1 blanket. And we've talked about substitutions for those in the past. So you can pause the video and go get those if you need to, or hopefully you have them close at hand. And we'll get started seated in the middle of our mats. All right. So I'm going to sit up on my blanket, which is just a nice little way of giving your hips some more space. So it helps us keep a long neutral spine if you can elevate the hips just an inch or 2. If sitting cross-legged is not comfortable for you today, you can sit up on 2 blocks or a stack of books, or even on a chair for this first part. So you could put the 2 blocks together and kneel on them like this. That's a nice option as well. It keeps the hips a little bit more open. So finding your comfortable seat, wherever that is for you today, somewhere that you can sit up tall. And let's bring one hand to the heart and one hand to the belly. It doesn't matter which hand goes where, but sit up really tall and draw the attention inward, focusing on the breath. By drawing our attention to the breath, we focus the mind in the here and now. And it's easier for us to set aside all the other thoughts that might be swirling around in our head about the future or the past. Notice the breath flowing underneath the hands. And feel that with each inhale, the hands slightly move apart from each other as the chest lifts a little. And as you exhale, the hands move slightly toward each other. There's no need to change or alter the breath. Just witness your natural breath. Good, and then release the hands down to the lap. And we'll begin with some gentle neck stretches. So just looking down at the floor, tucking the chin toward the chest. And then as if you're drawing a line with your nose from the floor to the ceiling, we're just looking up only as far as it's comfortable in the back of the neck, and then down, introducing some mobility to the neck. So only look up as far as it's comfortable so that you're not crunching in the back of the neck. Imagine painting a rainbow from the floor to the ceiling. Good, and then bringing the head back to neutral. We'll drop the ear to the shoulder, doesn't matter which side, and then sweep the head down and around to the other side. So we're making semicircles now, tracing this half circle shape with the nose from one side to the other side. And if you want to make a full circle, you certainly could. And if you want to do that today, I would recommend, imagine you're drawing a circle with the nose so that you don't lean back so far that you crunch the back of the neck. And if you've been going in one direction with circles, make sure you go the other direction. Or if you're doing the semicircles, just continue dropping one ear to the shoulder and then sweeping around to the other side. Good. And next time you have the right ear toward the right shoulder, pause there for a moment. And you can take your left fingertips, tiptoe them out on the floor just to give yourself a little more stretch through the upper trap area. And I'm going to bring my right hand and rest it gently on the top of the head. So I'm not pulling with the head, I'm just resting the hand toward the ear or the temples. And just the weight of the hand alone is enough to stretch these delicate tissues in the side of the neck. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And then to come out of this, you're going to gently press your head into your fingertips, just very lightly as you bring the head back up to neutral and bring the hand down. That little resistance actually helps release the muscles a little more. All right, and over to the other side, left ear to left shoulder. Walk the right fingertips out on the floor. And if you want to add the weight of the hand, bringing the left hand to the head. And pausing here, feel the breath expand, and as it expands, feel it stretch the side of the neck. Good, and then to come out, gently press the head into the fingertips and bring the head back up to neutral. Excellent. Let's inhale, bring the hands together, interlace. Exhale, press the hands away from the body and sit back, rounding the spine. So chucking the chin down and really feeling your back be one big C curve. And then inhale, raise the arms overhead, way, way overhead. Good. Exhale, sit back, round the spine, keep the hands pressing forward. Inhale, raise the arms up. And as you do, maybe the hands come back a little bit. So you're in a mini back bend here. And then exhale, round the spine. Push the hands away. Inhale, reach up, look up. And one more time, reaching forward, rounding the spine. And then last time, reaching up. Good. Bringing the hands to straight overhead so you're not in a mini back bend anymore. We're just going to release the hands and lean over to the right. So bringing the left arm overhead. Inhale, reach through the left fingertips. Exhale, center. Inhale, reach. Exhale, center. Inhale, reach. And exhale, center. Make sure you keep the opposite hip grounded as you reach over to the side. Maybe one more time each side, reaching way, way out, keeping that hip grounded, feeling a stretch up the side of the body, side of the ribs, the armpit. And last time to the other side. Good. And back to center. Inhale, sit up nice and tall. Exhale, we're just going to twist to the right. So bringing the left hand to the outside of the right knee, the right fingertips behind you. Take a few deep breaths here with each inhale, raising the head toward the ceiling. And each exhale draws you a little bit deeper into the twist. Inhale, reach that crown of the head high, high up to the ceiling. And exhale, twist. Good. Slowly unwind. And we'll do the other side. Inhale, sit up tall. Exhale, ease into the twist. So you don't have to go into your deepest twist right away. This is your first twist of the morning. Inhale, reach the crown of the head up. Exhale, ease into the twist. Good. Unwind, come back to center, and we're going to come to all fours. So if you like to move the blanket under the knees, that would be a good time to do that, or you can just move it to the side. So coming to hands and knees, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, and we'll do a few rounds of cat and cow with your breath. So inhaling, letting the belly soften down, head and tail come up. Exhale, round through the spine, dropping the head. Inhale up. Exhale, push the floor away as you drop the head. So do a few more rounds using the pace of your breath. And then coming back to a neutral spine in your tabletop position. Let's extend the right toes back behind us on the mat. So pause here, really feel that stretch through the calf, the back of the leg. Maybe you want to press into your hands and drag them forward a little bit so you get some more traction into that leg. Good. And then float the right leg back behind you till it's parallel with the earth. Draw the navel to the spine. And if you want, you can float the opposite hand up, but you certainly don't have to do that today. We aren't really focusing on strength, but I wanted to add this in because we tend to overstretch the back of the body. So if we work on a little stability and a little strengthening here, that can be very helpful. So we're just going to hold. We're not going to flow. So press into that standing hand, reach out through the fingertips, out through the toes. Draw the navel to the spine. Good. And then lower the hands, lower the foot. Then we'll go to the other side. So stretching the left toes way back behind you. Plant them into the ground first to get the calf stretch. Root your hands into the mat and imagine dragging them forward. That'll help give you a little bit more intensity in the calf stretch. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And then floating the back leg up till it's parallel with the earth. Good. And if you want, floating opposite hand. And just hold the spinal balance. Try to find some stability here. It is a lot of work. It certainly is. We have to balance, and we're holding the arm and leg up against gravity, but it's really great for the whole back side of the body. Really reach out through your fingertips, out through the toes, and lower the hand, lower the knee down. Good. So we're going to go back to the first side, stretching the toes back on the floor, the right foot. So I'm pressing into the toes and the ball of the foot. And then I'm going to walk that foot across the midline of the body. So it crosses back behind me, and I'm going to look at those toes. So now I'm getting a side body stretch on the right. You might feel this through the hips, the lower back, or the leg. Take one more deep breath in. One more breath out. Good. And coming back to center, returning to neutral. And the other side, left toes rooted into the mat, stretching that leg back behind you. And then dragging it over across the midline of the body. Look back over your right shoulder at those toes. And feel this little curve you've created. It's like a crescent moon shape from the toes all the way to the shoulder. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Good. And coming back to neutral. We're going to tuck the toes under and lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. So this is my first downward facing dog of the day. I'm going to take my time here, bend into one knee, then the other knee. Root the hands into the mat and drag them forward slightly. Push the floor away so that you lift out of the wrists, out of the shoulders. The spine is long. Good. And then today we're going to walk the hands back to the feet. So coming toward the back of the mat, feet are about hip distance parallel, and just enjoy this forward fold. Maybe hold opposite elbows. Let the upper body just hang down. Good. And then release the elbows if you've been holding on to them. We're going to slowly roll up today. So we don't normally do this. So when you roll up, I'd like you to really root into your feet and imagine dragging the feet slightly apart from each other as you roll the spine up. That's going to help provide, you're going to feel your hamstrings turn on as you start to drag the feet apart. And that's going to protect the back as you roll all the way up. And keep on going as you get up. Let the arms sweep overhead. Inhale, exhale, hands to heart center. Good. So we'll do a half sun salute a few times here. So inhale, raise the arms overhead. Exhale, hinge forward now. Bringing the hands down. Inhale, bring the spine halfway up so it's parallel to the floor, fingertips and the shins. Exhale, fold, release the head. And this time, inhale, we're going to swan dive up. So bend the knees a little bit, sweep the arms to the sides, come up with a flat back, arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, we'll try that one more time. Inhale, raise the arms overhead. Exhale, hinge and fold. Going really slowly. Inhale, halfway lift, bringing the chest forward. The spine is parallel to the floor. Exhale, fold. And then inhale, a little bend to the knees. Sweep the arms out to the side and all the way overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good. So I know that the coming up and down can be hard on some of us, especially if you have a tendency to be dizzy. So you can always just go really, really slow, work with your breath, or you can skip them if we're just coming up and down like that, and you can start just standing. So find your strap. Mine is all tangled up. Good. So find a strap or a long piece of rope or a scarf. And we'll do some shoulder opening. This is my very favorite shoulder stretch. It's called shoulder flossing. So you're going to have your arms straight and your straps straight. And you're pulling the straps slightly apart to keep it straight. Your legs are about hip distance and parallel. And you want to keep the core strong because we don't want to be bending the hips back or the chest forward when we do this. We want to keep the neutral spine. So you may need to sort of work on a little core strength while you do this by activating, drawing the navel toward the spine. All right. So inhale, raise the arms overhead, keeping that strap straight, arms straight, and exhale. See how far back you can go. Arms are still straight and strap is still straight. You may need to separate your hands further apart, and that's okay, but we're bringing the strap all the way down. Good. And inhale up, exhale down the front. Inhale up, exhale down the back, and you'll probably get a good pec stretch. So I can walk my hands in a little bit more now. Good. Inhaling when you go up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Good. And you'll start to notice where you're tight in your shoulders with this one, because this really takes them through their range of motion while giving them a little activation at the same time. Good. Next time you have the strap overhead, drop the right hand down. So keeping both hands straight still, and the strap is also straight. We're getting a side body stretch here. You could also do this actually with a broom handle or a mop, as long as it's not too heavy on one end, but something straight would work here as opposed to the strap. Good. Let's go over to the other side. So keeping the spine as long as you can as you lean over. Good. One more time each side. There's There's something about stretching with the strap that I feel like adds something really juicy to the shoulder work. Good. So I'm going to take this into a circle. So I'm going to drop the right hand down, the left hand up, like I'm coming into that side position again. And then I'm just going to reverse them, but I'm behind the body now. And then I'm going to reverse toward the front, so side and front. So smooth it out, and it becomes like a circle, hand up, hand down, hand up, hand down. And since I don't know which way you're going, left or right, I'm not going to say left or right, but just think of the hand that's up, then comes down, and then the hand that's down and comes up as you go in a circle. And then reverse your circle. Make sure you go the other direction. So it's almost like you're paddling a giant kayak or canoe. You have a huge paddle that you're swinging around. Good job. All right. So you can release your strap, place it to the side. And standing at the top of the mat, feet hip distance and parallel. We'll inhale, raise the arms overhead. Exhale, hinge and fold. Planting both hands now, step both feet back, downward facing dog. Take a moment here to settle into your dog, pressing into the hands so that you push the floor away. Try to sink more weight down through the heels. But the heels will probably never come to touch the ground because that means we compromise the back. And we want to focus on back length in this posture. If you have very open hamstrings, you may be able to get your knees to the ground or your heels to the ground. But I haven't been able to yet. Good. All right. Inhale, come forward to high plank, shoulders over wrists. Drop the knees and come all the way down to your belly. All right. So I'm going to bring the hands wide today and elbows up. So you could come onto your fingertips here with the elbows toward the ceiling, or you can come down to your flat hands, but turn the fingers in. It's an unusual position that we don't do very often, so you might want to try it. So inhale, look down, and exhale, make sure you feel okay, root through the pubic bone. And then inhale, reach the head up as if you're a little fern unfurling in the sun. And then exhale, look down at the earth. So inhale, tuck the chin to the chest, roll up through the spine, and then lift the head last. And then exhale, curling the head down, lowering the chest. One more time. Inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together as you lift the chest up, unfurl the head, and then come back down. Good. You can stack the hands under the forehead. Shake the hips side to side. So that was a little rolling cobra there. Just stretch out the upper back. Press into your hands, come back through all fours, and then sit the hips back to child's pose. Resting in child's pose for a few breaths. Relaxing the forehead into the earth. Good, and then energize through your fingers. We'll start to lift the hips, tuck the toes under, and come back into your downward facing dog. And from your downward facing dog here today, inhale, lift the right leg straight back behind you. Bend the knee. And then if you could stay here, or you could open the knee out to the side. So there's a little twist through the hips, but try to stay grounded through both hands. So if you feel like you lost all the weight in your right hand, you're dumping it all into the left. Try to balance the shoulders and let the openness come from the hips. It'll be a less of an extreme movement in that case. Good. Come back, straightening the leg behind you, and inhale, step the right foot between the hands. And if you need to lower the knee down and work it up a little at a time, that's totally fine. You might want hands under blocks here in your low lunge. So just make sure that your knee is over the ankle, and you can keep the back toes tucked or untuck them, whatever is more comfortable for you today. I'm going to inhale and come up into this low lunge, Anjali Asana. And as I reach up, I'm going to interlace the fingers, but point the index finger toward the sky and come out of the bend in the front knee a little bit. So I came up a little bit as I inhale and reach up. And as I exhale, I'm going to bend deeply into this lunge and bend the elbows, bringing them into this cactus shape. Good. So try that a couple times. Inhale, reaching up, come out a little bit, and then exhale, bending the elbows, shining the heart forward as you make a cactus shape with the arms. Inhale, up. Exhale, bend the elbows. Good. And then bringing the hands down to your blocks. We're going to shift the hips back now. So I'm straightening the front leg and peeling the toes up to the ceiling. And we're just going to hold this half split position today because we're focusing on stretching. So we're not going to flow in and out. We're just going to stretch. So think about the hip points and make sure they're level across the front, which often means we need to root into this front heel and imagine dragging it back a little bit. And having hands on blocks here is really great because you want to try to keep the spine long. The longer the spine is, the more you're going to isolate the stretch into the hamstrings. As soon as you start to round through the spine, you're going to take the stretch out of the hamstrings and it's going to go into the back. So try to keep a flat back. And that might mean that you're way up here today, and that's fine. Or maybe your hands are on a chair, and that's also fine. Because I'm still getting a really good stretch here. I don't have to be all the way down here to get that. Again, it's not about the pose. It's about the sensations in your body. One more deep breath in. One more breath out. And then come forward into your low lunge position again. And this time I'm going to walk this front foot, the right foot, over to the edge of the mat. And I'm going to let the toes spill out over the edge. So they're at an angle now, about a 45-degree angle. And my hands are on the inside. So you could stay up here, or you could be way up here on blocks too, and that's fine. This is a deeper hip stretch now. Or if you're very open in the hips and you want to come down further, you could use a block and place the forearms down on the block or the forearms all the way to the floor. And it's okay if the edge of the right foot, the inner edge, peels up a little bit, so that inner arch is looking up at you a little bit. That's just a slightly different variation of the pose. And this all depends on the shape of your hip bones. This really has no bearing on muscle tightness or not. It's about where the femur sits in the hip socket and the shape of those bones. And everyone's bones are shaped very differently. So that actually does control the range of motion that we have. This is our little lizard pose here today. Imagine you're a lizard basking in this summer sun. Good. And then bringing the hands back underneath you, removing your props. Bring the right knee back to all fours, and then lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Good. So we're going to repeat those on the left side now. Inhale, lift the left side of left leg way up back behind you. Bend the knee and open the hip toward the left. But then draw your attention to the hands. Make sure you're dumping the weight evenly into both hands and shoulders. Good. And then inhale, straighten the leg back behind you. Exhale, step the foot between the hands. And you can always lower the knee and take as much time as you need to get in that position. Bringing your hands back with blocks if you need to, making sure the knee is stacked over the ankle. And I'm going to inhale and reach my arms overhead, interlace the fingers except for the index finger. I'm going to reach that one way up and allow it to draw me up a little bit out of the pose. And then I'm going to exhale, bend the elbows, shine the heart forward, and sink more deeply into the lunge. Inhale, reach that index fingers up. Exhale, bending the elbows, sinking into the front knee. Inhale, one more time, up. Exhale, sinking in. Good, and then hands come down. I'm going to shift the hips back, straightening the front leg, toes peel up toward the ceiling. Settle into your half split position here. Root through the left heel, draw it slightly back toward the hip. And think about the length of your spine again. How long can you be from tailbone to the crown of the head? And when you're long in the spine, does that change how it feels in the hamstring? You might go back and forth between rounding the back a lot and seeing what that feels like, and then straightening and thinking about hinging from the hips as opposed to rounding in the spine. So this is a powerful hamstring stretch. And I don't know about you, but the hamstrings on me, they could just always use a stretch basically every 5 minutes. There's just an area where I'm chronically tight. Good, one more deep breath in. One more deep breath out. And then walking the hands forward again, coming into that lizard pose, which means walking the left foot over to the left edge of the mat here and letting the toes spill out on the floor. And then play with your height here. Do you want to just stay here on your hands looking forward? Do you want some blocks under the forearms coming down to the elbows here? And it's very intense. It can be an intense sensation in the inner hip or the quad on the other side. It really depends on where you're tight, or both. So take a few deep breaths. Try to find some sense of equilibrium in the pose. Obviously, if it's too intense, please come out or back it up a little bit. One more deep breath in. Long breath out. Start to bring the hands back underneath the shoulders. Bring the knee back to all fours. Lift the hips up, downward facing dog. And this time, walking the feet toward the hands. Coming into your forward fold at the top of the mat. And then bend the knees a little bit. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side. Come up with a flat back, arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good. All right, let's step the right foot way back, coming into warrior two. And you actually might want to block to either side of the feet here. So right leg is way back. Left leg is forward. And I'm deeply bending into this right leg. So making sure that you're set up correctly, that the front heel intersects with the arch of the back foot. The back foot is close to parallel with the back of the mat, but today we're going to turn it in a little bit at a slight diagonal. So the toes turn in a few degrees. It's not exactly parallel with the back edge of the mat. Sink deeply into that front thigh and float the arms parallel to the earth. So here's your warrior two. Good. Inhale, take the bend out of the knee, reach the arms up. And exhale, settle into your warrior two. Inhale, press into the front foot to straighten the leg. And exhale, sink. Good. One more time. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, sink down. Good. Bring the hands to the hips now. Straighten the front leg. We're going to come into triangle pose. So here we have two long straight legs. Try not to hyperextend the front knee. Give it a little micro bend if you have a tendency to lock that knee. And then with the hands and the hips, you can feel that I'm going to shift the hips back toward the back foot a little bit, which tips the pelvis. The pelvis tips forward to this front left leg. And then I keep tipping till my spine is leaning over to the side, and I can bring the hand down to the block, which is outside the left foot. And think about where the belly button is. Now, can you rotate the belly button to look toward the ceiling as you reach the top arm up? Triangle pose. This is your Trikonasana. Really root through both feet. Feel the length in the legs and the length in the spine here. Everything is long in triangle pose. That's why we picked it for our stretch class today. So even the collarbones are wide. Good. Take one more deep breath in. One more breath out. And then bend into the front knee. Push the floor away to come up. And we're just going to switch the feet over to the other side. So now my right leg is pointing. The toes are pointing to the top of the mat. The left leg, start with it as the edge of the foot is parallel to the short edge of the mat, and then turn the toes in a little bit more. Good. Bend deeply into the front knee. Make sure it's tracking over the ankle and over the middle toe. Good. And float the arms. Virabhadrasana 2. Excellent. Push into that front foot. Inhale. Straighten the legs, reach up. Exhale, sink into warrior 2. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, sink into your warrior 2. Good. One more time. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, sinking into warrior 2. Bringing the hands to the hips now, straighten that front leg. So now both legs are long. The hips shift back toward the left, and the pelvis tips down. So the front part of the pelvis tips down. And that tip then helps you lean the torso over to the side, but still keeping both sides of the torso as long as you can. And the right hand comes to the block on the outside or the inside of the foot, but I like the outside. And then draw attention to where the navel is. Can you rotate the navel to look toward the ceiling? It's not going to look exactly toward the ceiling, but you think about it, trying to smile at the ceiling. And the gaze can be up. It can be straight out in front of you. It can be down at that front foot. But think about length. Length and strength in the legs. Length in both sides of the torso and across the collarbones. Good. Bend into the front knee. Push the floor away to come up. Both toes face the long edge of the mat. And then heel toe, the feet together. Beautiful job. You can move your blocks to the side. One more time, standing at the top of the mat. Inhale, reach overhead. Exhale, hinge and fold. See if it's easier to come into your forward fold now that we've stretched the hamstrings and the legs a little bit. And then we're just going to come all the way down into a seated position on the mat. So dropping the knees and coming down. You may want to find your folded blanket again because we're going to come into staff pose. So that's where the legs are straight out on the mat. Dandasana. So I'm sitting on a blanket because it helps me not round through the spine as much in the lower back when I'm doing these types of poses. So the little lift with the blanket helps me keep the lumbar curve, which is what we want here. We want to feel the hinge coming from the hips. So we need some space there. Rooting down through the sitting bones and the heels. Sitting up as tall as you can. And then I'm going to bend the right leg and place the sole of the foot toward the inside, the thigh of the left leg. And you can support the knee with a block if you wish, or if you're comfortable having it hang, that's also fine. Orient the torso over the long leg, so that's the left leg here. And then slowly start to hinge forward. And you may only hinge a couple of inches. You're going to start to feel a stretch up the whole back side of the left leg. You could grab a strap here and wrap it around the foot, or if you can reach for the foot, go ahead and reach for the foot. You can also keep a little bend in this knee. That's no problem. Keep a little bend. It's going to allow you to hinge more. And as you hinge at the hips with that bent knee, then you slowly start to straighten it. So that also can be a powerful adjustment as well. But wherever you are, take one more inhale, looking forward. And then exhale, start to lower the gaze down, drawing the attention inward in this forward fold. And slowing the breath down now. Sending the breath into the tight areas. If we mentally do that, that helps them lengthen and stretch a little more. So exhaling, sending the breath into the hamstrings, and just encouraging them to soften and lengthen. Good. Slowly bring the hands underneath the shoulders and come up nice and slowly, engaging the navel to the spine a little bit. And we'll switch sides. So straightening that right leg, you may want to give the legs a little shake. And then bending the left knee, bringing the sole of the foot to the inside of the right thigh. Inhale, sit up tall. Orient yourself over the long leg, the right leg. And then exhale, hinge a little bit. So you're trying to hinge at the hips to maintain the length through the back of the leg. Holding onto a strap is a wonderful choice here. I have really long arms, so it's easy for me to hold onto my foot. That doesn't mean my hamstrings are open. It just means I have long arms. Take one more deep breath in as you look forward, and then exhale, direct the gaze down. You can let the spine round now a little bit as you sink deeply into this forward fold. Directing the breath into the right hamstrings. And with your breath saying, it's okay to relax. You can let go. And then bringing the hands back toward under the face or shoulders. Press into the hands a little bit as you draw the navel to the spine and come up. Good. Straightening both legs. Give them a little shake. And then we're going to stretch the legs wide apart. So I'm going to turn so you can see me. You can still be sitting on the blanket, that's fine. But stretching the legs wide apart and bringing the hands behind you. So if you do have the blanket under the hips, you may need to adjust it a little bit so that your fingertips can point away from the torso and you can press into the hands. So the more I press into the hands, the longer the sides of the torso become, and that helps me open in the hips, believe it or not. Everything is connected. Take a few deep breaths here. And as the hips open more and more, instead of coming forward, press into the hands and see if you can push the hips forward a few inches to open the legs even more. Or you might be feeling a lot of sensation right where you are, and then you don't need to do anything. Beautiful. And coming back up, bringing the legs together, giving them a little shake, and then rolling all the way down to our backs. And when you get here, drawing the knees into the chest, roll across the spine. Excuse me. And then placing both feet on the mat, knees pointed up. I'm going to take the right ankle and place it on top of the left knee, coming into figure 4. So pause here before you lift the other foot up and just gently take the palm of your right hand, place it on the right thigh, and gently nudge that thigh away from the torso. So you're opening the hip a little bit more. Then lift the left foot off and interlace both hands either behind the left thigh or on top of the left shin if that's available to you. But wherever you are, flex both feet. It's going to help protect the knees. And then think about that little opposition that we just did with the hands. So if you had another hand and it was slightly pushing the right thigh away from the torso, while at the same time you're drawing the left thigh into the torso. So there's a little push and pull that happens here. And that helps us isolate the stretch into the right hip where we want it. Good, and then lowering the foot down. We're going to keep crossing the right leg all the way over. So now knee over knee, the legs are crossed. Pick up the hips, shift them a couple inches to the right. Drop the knees over to the left. And you can extend the arms out by your sides in a T position, or you can bring the left hand to the thigh if you want to accentuate this twist a little bit more. If this twist is a little deep for you or your knees, you can just stack the legs. They don't have to be intertwined like this. Enjoying a good stretch in the torso here. Twists are really great for the spine. The gaze can be toward the ceiling, or you can look over your right fingertips. One more deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then bringing the knees back up to center, unwind the legs, recenter the spine. So you're back to neutral. And then placing the left ankle on top of the right knee. Pause here for a moment. Take the left hand, gently place it on the thigh and nudge that thigh away from the torso. Then release the hand. Take both hands, interlace them behind the right thigh or on top of the right shin, whatever's available to you. And flex both feet. Draw that thigh in toward the chest. Keep the head and shoulders relaxed on the mat. And draw your attention to that little push and pull that's happening. So imagine gently pressing the left thigh away from the body while at the same time drawing the right thigh in. And your hips might feel very different side to side. We usually have a hip that's tighter and a hip that's looser. And that's okay. Just noticing these patterns in your body. Then placing the right foot back down, crossing the left thigh all the way over now. So knee over knee, picking up the hips, shift them to the left, drop the knees way down to the right, coming into your twists on this side. Arms are out to the side, wide in a T shape. Or you can bring the right hand to your knees just to accentuate the twist a little bit more. See if you can soften the head and shoulders to the mat. One more deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then bringing the knees back up to center, uncross the legs, draw the knees to the chest one more time, rock side to side, and do anything else that your body's craving right now. Maybe you want to hold on to the insides of the feet, come into happy baby. Maybe you want to do a bridge pose, whatever you feel like you need, or maybe you just want to come right into your Shavasana. So when you're ready, extending the legs, letting them just open naturally. The arms are by the sides, but a little bit away from the body, palms face up. And settling your body onto the support of the floor. Drawing your attention back to the breath. Without changing or altering your breath, just feel the natural rhythm as it flows in and out of the torso. And with your next exhalation, can you soften the shoulders? Can they be heavy and weighted into the mat? And then with your next exhalation, can you soften the arms and hands and let them nestle on the earth? And then with your next exhalation, softening the back and the belly and the hips, and letting them be heavy on the earth. And then with your next exhalation, softening the thighs, the lower legs and the feet, feeling them heavy, heavy like they're filled with sand and resting on the earth. And just rest here now for a few breaths. There's nowhere to go and nothing to do but rest now. And you are welcome to stay here as long as you can or want to today. But if you need to move on with your day and you're ready to close practice with me, start to deepen your breath, bringing more conscious, deep inhalations in and out of the belly. And start to wiggle your fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. And when you're ready, bending the knees and rolling over to one side, pausing there for a moment, offering yourself a moment of gratitude for making time for your practice today, and for our virtual community of friends in which we're practicing, and for someone else you're grateful to have on life's journey. Use your hands to press yourself up to a seated position. Bringing the hands to the heart center in prayer. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. It's great to see you all here. Oh, that's wonderful. I hope you have a wonderful week. If you're enjoying this class, please support my work. All the information is in the comments below. And until next week, namaste. Take care.